Hi, Cutler Bay. This is your town manager, Ralph Casals. Thank you for joining us in our first ever Twitter X Space broadcast. In fact, just a friendly reminder, this session is being recorded and will be reposted tomorrow morning on our town website. So, welcome to our X Space. What's this mean? It's if you've been following us, similar to what I've done in my open mic nights, where I provide the community an update, and I also provide the community an informal way just to communicate, some of their comments, rumor controls, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, if you followed us, we had an open mic night on April 24th, and then we also had another one on August 26th, and then most recently August 28th at Eastridge. So this is a new realm for us. So please, we'd like to get your feedback, and we're trying to reach as many residents as we can. So what is an open mic night? Really, it's just an opportunity for us to talk about, what's hot, what's not, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, just some of the ways that we communicate with residents. We have 11 council meetings per year. We also have, a combined 5 budget workshops and hearings throughout the year. We have over 17 signature events that we have throughout the year, in which, residents can kind of come up to the town council, myself and town staff in an informal atmosphere. We also have a monthly e-newsletter that we have, and as well as service requests that you go on 24 hours, 7 days a week on our town websites. So let's just dive right into the program here. Um, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about what's hot, some of the capital improvement projects that we have. We're going to touch upon Legacy Park, the 16-acre municipal park, South Place City Center, some of our town recent acquisitions, some of the restoration projects we have, and we are currently in budget season. And then we'll have questions. So throughout the topics there, we will provide little breaks where residents can provide us. And if you'd like to speak, just click the request button at the bottom left of your screen. And we have I'm here joined with our communication manager, Rob Gibson. So he's monitoring as well. They provide me a thumbs up of when to stop and listen to some of your comments. So please, I want this to be a very like a nice two-way conversation. Um, and let's get this started. So, folks, what's hot? What's hot? Obviously, we know about some of the topics we're going to talk about: La Quinta, the Caribbean Boulevard Bridge, Southwest 87th Avenue Bridge, the closure of our Blue Herring Park temporary closure, and obviously Southwest 97th Avenue roadway closure for our South Florida Water Management District Everglades Restoration Project. So, La Quinta, as many of you followed us, during the September 17th Board of County Commission meeting, our county commissioner, Commissioner Cohen Higgins, one of our county commissioners, Cohen Higgins, was fighting really hard to look at different alternative sites there. And unfortunately, based on a vote of 11-2, the property now is going to be purchased by the Homeless Trust, but we were able to negotiate some of the restrictions to the properties. What are some of those? The property will serve exclusively as a permanent supportive housing for seniors aged 55 and over. Tenants must sign a lease and proof of income to pay the rent. There will be no needle exchange or similar programs will be permitted on the property. A 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation for this closed-circuit TV will also be installed or maintained. Background checks for residents that are there, and with exclusions for any individuals or sexual predators, sexual offenders, convicted felons, etc. And also, just a note, because I know that Mir Mirbot posted about this video, a community service video, and there was some questions and comments regarding, well, does this jeopardize the mall, Southland Mall redevelopment? And it doesn't. In fact, our counterparts from the mall were also involved in some of the different restrictive covenants that were agreed upon by the Homeless Trust and ultimately the Board of County Commissioners. So that mall project will continue and to move forward. Caribbean Bridge. So the Caribbean Bridge right now is on hold. The contractor, which is the Miami-Dade County contractor, has been terminated. And our friends from Miami-Dade County Public Works Department are going through the rebidding process. So that project will continue. The road continues to be open. It is some inconvenience there because we would like to see that project completed. Um, Also, we have another bridge. Speaking of topics of bridge, the bridge on Southwest 87th Avenue in the village of Palmetto Bay. That project also continues to be constructed with Miami-Dade County Public Works Department. So our town staff will continue to monitor that. Another capital improvement project close to home is our Blue Herring Park. As you recall, I made the decision to close that park due to the high levels of arsenic at the park. The good news is, as I reported to the town council during our September 16th council meeting, that all of the samples have been taken. The lab results are back. We are preparing with our consultant and our environmental attorney a package to submit to our friends from Miami-Dade County Durham to make sure that they agree upon how deep, how wide, and how much of the dirt needs to be removed and remediated, and so that we can go ahead and expedite the reopening of that Blue Herring Park. So thank you to our friends from the Lakes by the Bay and Isles of Bayshore community for being very patient. It is a significant piece of the community there. It's 10 acres that's used on a daily basis, and we certainly apologize for the inconvenience. But good news is, as part of our remediation project, the existing Vitacourse track that's there will get reconstructed. The workout equipment that's out there will still be remain on site. All the large canopy trees will also remain on site as well. So at this point, I'd like to take a little break to see if there's any, questions from our listeners. And if you'd like to speak, just click on the request button on the bottom left of the screen, and we'll go ahead and accept you. Nope. Okay, seeing none. So we'll just keep on going here, folks. So some of the town capital improvement projects that we have around the town. These are projects that we are reinvesting inside our community with various different types of funds. So we have a lot of roadway improvement projects that we have, and you'll hear me here talk about a lot of different acronyms. JPA, which is Miami-Dade County Joint Participation Agreement. Folks, that is like a grant that we receive from the county. You'll also hear me talk about FDOT grants. That's the Florida Department of Transportation grants that we also receive. You'll hear me talk about the town's PTP, which is a People's Transportation Plan, which is a half-penny gas tax that we receive on an annual basis, approximately close to $3 million per year, which 80% of it has to be used for transportation projects such as roadway improvements, drainage projects, and the remaining 20% of the town's allocation based on population is used for our transit services. Many of you seen our municipal circulator bus that goes around, as well as the on-demand services that we have as well. And then we also use our stormwater utility funds, which is paid by all the residents to mitigate the flooding impacts within the community. So let's just kind of dive into some of these projects. So one of the roads that we are currently doing right now under construction is, Franjo Road. And thank you for the residents that live along Franjo Road, because you're showing a lot of patience there. There's the sections of the road there that right now they're closed in front of Holy Rosary. So thank you, Principal Brown and all teachers there and the parents for being very patient with us. Right now, we know it's an inconvenience, but the fact that the road is closed, it's still open for temporary use. For example, all the parent drop-offs to Holy Rosary. We also have several small businesses that are there in the little shopping center next to our Bel Air Park. And please go ahead and patronize those businesses. But the through traffic, it is closed. That project is moving along on schedule. If you follow us on our town council meeting, we actually have our consultant there that provides us a monthly update on the project there. And that's a good example that this project is approximately $16 million. 8.3 of it is from a joint participation agreement, grants from Miami-Dade County. And the other remaining funding is $2.2 million from the American Rescue Plan, which is ARPA, as you hear me talk about later. And then the remaining $6.5 million is from the town's People's Transportation Funding Source, gas tax. Another project that is currently almost in the final stages there. The folks that live along the old Cutler Glen community, thank you for a lot of your patience there. We had some great news last week. We reopened 82nd Avenue corridor between Old Cutler Road and 184 Eureka Drive. So a lot of those residents there will see won't be affected as much with the detour into the smaller neighborhood roadways. Now all the traffic will go along 82nd Avenue. And that was a project that was also funded through a $800,000 FDOT grant. We are also putting in $1.8 million from the ARPA federal grant and another $148,000 from our PTP. So as you can see, we are leveraging all these types of projects. Another project that we completed last year was the Whispering Pines Roadway Drainage Improvement Project. If folks patronize our Whispering Pines Park area there, you see that we installed some impervious on-street parking there, as well as we put in a nice perimeter wood low-line fence around our Whispering Pines Park. And also we repaired a lot of sidewalks there and put in some new crosswalks there to make it a nice, safe environment where you could just kind of walk through the park and provide a nice family-friendly atmosphere there. Another project that's currently under design is the Canal Bank Restoration Project. The folks that live along Sterling and Tiffany, we have that canal there, and that's a project that we received a $750,000 Florida Department of Environmental Protection FDEP grant, and the town is matching the other $750,000 through our stormwater master plan as well. So those are the two funding sources there. It's going to be a $1.5 million canal stabilization project there. If you know that area there, the folks that live along those cul-de-sacs there, the actual canal bank is eroding. So this is going to be a canal stabilization project there that we're partnering up with our friends from South Florida Water Management District. Another project that's underway as well is going to be the traffic circle on Southwest 200th Street and 103rd Avenue. And that is a project that were successful to receive another FDOT grant in the amount of $362,000. And then we are actually then putting in $343,000 of matching town funds from our PTP. And that's going to be not only a traffic circle, it's going to be some sidewalk improvements, some drainage improvements along that intersection there, again, Southwest 200th Street and 103rd Avenue. Another project that's under the planning phase is Caribbean Boulevard, as you hear me refer to it in the past as the J. Why the J? Because it's kind of a form of the J. It's actually from Southwest 87th Avenue to 184th Street. That is a project that we actually received a $1 million FDOT grant for the construction of it. And we have finalized the planning phase of it. It's going to be a new sidewalk, new drainage. We're going to be putting in some curb and gutters there, and also, pinching some of the intersections there. When I say pinching, making the intersections, the little cross streets there with curbing and gutter, and improving the water quality improvements along that project roadway there, as well. And then also, we're going to have a lot of sidewalk. American with Disability Act, you hear me say ADA criteria there as well for that corridor. Again, part of our process of being a pedestrian-friendly, cyclist-friendly type of municipality. Another project that is also part of our restoration project is the 8.5 acres that we own along Old Cutler Road and 184. That is an area there that in fact, the town council, during our last council meeting, renamed the park to be called Coastal Ridge Preserve. Once again, Coastal Ridge Preserve. That is the newly named park, 8.5 acres that is along Old Cutler and 184th Street. And then also we have another wetland restoration project that we are doing on the 53 acres that's owned by South Florida Water Management District, in which that is located approximately 97th Avenue and 224 Street, between 224 and 232 Street there. It's 53 acres worth of wetlands there, actually, mitigation lands, we call it. We were able, again, to receive $700,000 grant from Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDEP, and the town is matching $700,000. let me go back to a second for the 8.5 acres. I got caught up on the Coastal Ridge Preserve. We actually were successful in obtaining another $250,000 grant from Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and the town is matching $250,000. That's $500,000 to go through what's called the planning phase as well as the restoration phase. The planning phase, we just held a council workshop during our September 16th council meeting, in which our consultant unveiled some of the conceptual plans there, in which we hosted several council meetings and workshops there. And thank you for all the community folks that were able to attend a lot of our meetings there. So again, there's a lot of projects going on there. I touched upon Franjo Road. We were able to again, it is on schedule right now. It's on schedule, and thank you for your patience. It's going to be done in phases. We're going to have that project is going to be done in phases. So you're going to see some other closures going on as well. So again, it's, making sure that we have a safe detour route throughout the community there, because that is the only way that you can actually, it's going to be literally a complete streets project, which you're literally going down to the core, putting in the drainage, et cetera, et cetera. So want to make sure that our residents that live along there, thank you for your patience. And not only that, not only the folks who live along Franjo Road, but also the folks who live along 94th Avenue and Sterling Drive. There's a lot of detours that are going on there. We know that it's really rough in the beginning, and then folks will find their way around the community. But again, that's something that we know it's going to be really tough to construct. And the quickest way that we're constructing it right now is doing those types of complete road closures there. So once again, this is the point in our broadcast here that we'll take a little break. If you'd like to speak, just click the request button at the bottom left of your screen, and we'll accept your comments. So with that, let's see if there's any comments.
No comments.
Okay, Rod's telling me, my communications manager here, saying there's no comments, so we will continue to roll with this. Okay, so we talked about the complete streets for Caribbean Boulevard. Again, we call that the J. That's going to be our next phase. We're going to host a public involvement meeting here pretty soon here to have some feedback from the community. It's already designed. We've had some initial feedback already from some of the neighbors there, and thank you for those neighbors that showed up during our open mic nights and some other meetings there. We were able to look at some of the different comments and make some minor alterations to the plan. So you've heard me talk about the American Rescue Plan. You hear me talk about this called ARPA. So this was based on a way to get from the federal government to get after COVID to get the economy, kind of sprued up and started at the local municipal level. Cutler Bay has about 45,000 residents, and based on our allocation, we received $21 million, and $10 million of it is going to be what we call general services, and the remaining $11 million, which is going to be called water quality improvement projects, aka also known as stormwater improvements. So some of the examples of the $10 million that we have allocated. Number one, just to let the residents know, every time that we allocate funds from the ARPA, this goes before the town council at a public meeting, and the council adopts it via what's called a resolution, which means that not only did I check the eligibility, but also our town attorney checked the eligibility of the items. Some of the items that we've used for the $10 million general services allocation is we did a pool study for Cutler Ridge Pool. We did some lighting improvements in both Lakes by the Bay and Bel Air Parks. When I say lighting improvements, it's the design as well as retrofitting the lighting to LED. We also had some design for the resurfacing of the playground equipment. We had approximately $800,000 for sidewalk repairs. We replaced the pool heater and chiller at our Cutler Ridge Park pool. We're also finalizing the parking lot lighting at our Bel Air Park. So, and then also the remaining of the funds were also going to be used towards the allocation of the building of the new pool facility in our 16-acre Legacy Park project that we're going to talk about here shortly. Now, the $11 million are being used for what we call a lot of neighborhood drainage improvement projects. I'll spare you the sub basins because they're actually the way that we have it designed here. It's called the Bel Air Subbasin, the Cutler Ridge Pines Basin, the J Twin Villas Basin, the Lakes by the Bay, and the Saga Bay community. So I think if I had to generally describe that, through this process here, I think is if you live in the area along 82nd Avenue, if you live in the area between Caribbean Boulevard and 87th Avenue, that's a nice little box there to describe that. And if you live in the area just south of Cutler Ridge Elementary, between Cutler Ridge Elementary and Cutler Ridge and Caribbean Boulevard, that area there is also going to have some drainage. The J Twin Villas area is a area directly across from Encompass Health on Old Cutler Road. And then we also have the area along 216th Street and 97th Avenue in the Lakes by the Bay community as well. And then you also have a large block of neighborhoods there and areas in the Saga Bay neighborhood as well. Again, funding sources there are, we leverage a lot of grants for these projects. This is the ARPA funded, but we also kind of match with some of the other funds that we have as well. So with that, I'll stop and see if there's any questions. If you'd like to speak, just click on the request button on the bottom left of your screen and we'll accept you. So seeing my communication manager give me the no questions response, we'll continue with this broadcast here. So Legacy Park. What is Legacy Park? It's a 16-acre parcel that the town purchased. It's located just south of the new Publix on Old Cutler Road. In fact, if you drive by there all the time, you'll see a nice large perimeter fence there with the black silt screening there. That is your 16 acres, our Legacy Park there, in which we are going to be designing our municipal complex, which is going to include a town hall, a police department, a community center, an aquatics facility, as well as a parking garage. All that is going to be on the front 4 acres of the property located near Old Cutler Road. And then the remaining 12 acres is going to be used as open space, gathering space with some nice water features, a lake, a amphitheater stage area. This will not be a typical park with athletic lighting. It's going to be a park where we could just have a lot of gatherings there. Right now we use our Cutler Ridge Park for a lot of our signature events, and this is going to be an open space lawn. It's going to be a Vita course around. There will be parking for golf carts there. It's going to be bike and pedestrian friendly. So this is going to be our main central park, as Mayor Beerbaugh likes to describe it. Okay, so right now we've already completed the master plan was already developed and that was approved. So we know exactly where the sites are going to go. And then at the same time, we are finalizing the design aspect of it. And if you follow us, I advise the town council that on October 16th from 4 to 6 o'clock, we're going to be finalizing the design and having a council workshop. But unique to this project, which is not traditional when it comes to municipalities, is not only did we select the design team, and they're actually out there, doing the design. They've already met with all of our town staff. We know exactly the layouts, interior layouts of the building, the functionality of the buildings. But more importantly, now we're looking at the facade look. What is the look for Cutler Bay, right? What do we want our house to look like? What is that look? We know that we want it to be a nice iconic figure. We want it to be something that residents are very proud of, that when visitors come from out of town, hey, come visit our town hall, community center, let's go to the park. And also we have selected the contractor, and many folks will wait, you haven't even finished design, but you select the contractor. Well, part of the process is selecting the contractor is I wanted to make sure that as the design team is designing, we are now also have the contractor actually calculating what everything is costing. So a little bit backstory here. This was approved. The funding for this was a $37 million general obligation GO bond that was approved overwhelmingly by nearly 66% of the voters to build. So thank you for everybody who voted. Thank you for giving us the confidence to build the structure. And not only that, we will have the contractor there side by side with our design team to make sure that the contractor will give us what's called the GMP, guaranteed maximum price to build. So that way, when we enter into the contract with the builder, we know it's going to be able to be built for X. Now, I mentioned $37 million. We're already encumbered over $3 million for the design team. So you're keeping the math there, you're at $34 million some change. We are going to inject some of the ARPA money, as I mentioned before, for the construction of the aquatic center, the pool, and all the different small buildings going to be there. So we know that that's going to be part of the project. Again, leveraging all the money. Not only that, the site is located what we call a brownfield, in which there's going to be some soil remediation. There's some, it used to be an old farm area there. In fact, a lot of trees there it has a high level of arsenic. Arsenic is an occurrence as a result of using fertilizers years and years and years. So not only are we going to construct this, build this, we're also going to remediate it to make it safe for the residents as well. So you'll hear me talk about the arsenic. And so one of the things that also we have going on is talking about South Place City Center. We call it Southland Mall. So part of the Southland Mall there, again, we talked about the La Quinta early on. The fact that the La Quinta has now going to be purchased by the Homeless Trust with those restrictions that I mentioned, 55 and over. And so a lot of the restrictions are going to be what's called recorded covenants. So the county will be held to that. The South Place City Center will continue. It's going to continue. I'm in constant contact with the developers there. Folks, this is going to be a $1.5 billion regional impact when it's all said and done. It's going to create over 3,000 jobs during construction, and it's going to create over 2,700 permanent jobs. It's going to be like a downtown within a downtown, if that makes sense. It's consistent with the Cutler Ridge Charrette. Before we incorporated, it was a vision by the community before the town incorporated in 2005. It's going to follow a lot of mixed use. Some folks are equating to downtown Doral, downtown city center in Doral, Dayland, as well. So it's going to be a lot of buildings. It's going to be a lot of entertainment, restaurants, and we're really excited about that and the fact that it's moving forward. And certainly the plans are available to be seen here at Town Hall. We're also working closely with our Commissioner Cohen-Higgins and the folks from FDOT to construct a pedestrian bridge, because there's going to be over 5,000 units that are going to be constructed there, a 60,000 square foot hospital medical arts building, 25,000 square foot, grocery, and there's going to be additional over, 300,000 square feet of an additional commercial retail space there too. So we want to make sure that we feed the bus rapid transit, which there is a planned stop. In fact, you go by there now, you can kind of see it in the final stages along US 1 and Southwest 112th Avenue there. I refer to the Target site, but it's the Apata stop there. So we're working closely with Miami-Dade County Public Works Department about doing what's called the PD&E study for the pedestrian bridge. So at this point, I'll take a short little break to see if there's any questions. If you'd like to speak, just click on the request button on the bottom left on your screen, and we'll accept you. Okay. Seeing none. Okay, great. I see that Councilman BJ Duncan's online. Thank you, Councilman Duncan, for joining our inaugural X Space broadcast there. So let's continue forward here, folks. Okay, so some of the town property acquisitions. In the last 4 years, the town's been very, very aggressive with purchasing properties. So the first one we touched upon briefly, which is the 8.5 acres on 184 and Old Cutler Road. That property was purchased, several years ago by the town at approximately $1 million per acre. It was under the threat of being developed, and the town council, we went ahead and purchased the property. And it's going to be a conservation park. And in fact, that's the one that I mentioned earlier that we had our consultants come in and do the master plan of it, and also has been recently, renamed by the town council as Coastal Ridge Preserve. So that's something that we want to make sure that name captures a lot of the different activities there. We want to make sure they had the name preserved there. A lot of folks, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone there, to do a lot of the restoration there. So we want to thank all the folks there. also recently acquired was the 3.5 acres. 3.5 acres. If you followed us, it was on the thread of having over 100 units there being built there as of right. As of right means that the owner had the right to develop that. Uh, it's located at the intersection of Oak Cutler and 87th Avenue, and in fact, most recently, the town council voted to rename that park or name that park Veterans Park. So that park is now has been renamed to Veterans Park, and you'll see a lot. So you'll see some activity there. One of the first things we're going to do in our upcoming year's budget, we're going to put in our typical low wood fence there, double rail wood fence there, to kind of like mark the spot there. And then right now it's just going to be open space. We'll go through a master plan phase in the future, but right now I can tell you I get a lot of comments from folks. What's going to go there? I tell people not 100 something plus units. So it's going to be open space for now. There's some small remedial environmental issues that need to be done there. So you'll see some activity there. But again, that's something we're very proud of. And then if I take you down the journey on Old Cutler Road to the south, we talked about the 16 acres property there. So folks, that if you're doing the math, is 28 acres that have been purchased in the last 4.5 years by the town council and by town, and also eliminated over 618 additional units along Old Cutler Road. So this has a lot of different benefits for the town. One is our commitment to make sure that we continue to be resilient. How are we being resilient? Well, the Coastal Ridge Preserve has been identified as a high priority area, what we call the South Florida Water Management District, and the Army Corps of Engineers we call the Back Bay Study, which is dealing with sea level rise. And this 8.5 acres is adjacent to South Florida Water Management District that has an additional 200 acres there. So this will serve as a buffer land for sea level rise, and we're very excited about that. And also, the 16 acres that we purchased for Town Hall eliminated over 468 units there as well. So we continue to secure those properties for the next generations, and certainly, thank everyone involved in that process. So let's talk about a wetland restoration project we talked about, which is the 53 acres on 97th Avenue and 224th Street. That property is owned by our friends from South Florida Water Management District. We're working closely with them to do the restoration project there to restore the wetlands and also install additional guardrails and gates there, because if you know that area, there is a lot of illegal dumping there. Unfortunately, we have folks that decide to go a lot of mudding inside those 53 acres, which are damaging, a lot of the birding areas there and nesting areas there that are critical to this facility here. And then when you go down that street, you'll see that there is 97th Avenue as a street closure there, and in which we have a lot of the construction going through there. It's a through canal there, and right now it inconveniences the folks using that there, but it's a part of the comprehensive Everglades restoration project that's being done there. It's over a $30 million. We call it the Cutler Bay Flowway project there. And in fact, our friends from South Florida Water Management District are going to be coming to the town council meeting on October 16th to provide the community an update. What's occurring there is a lot of the fresh water on the C1 canal kind of goes out all the way through Black Point. And then you have a lot of areas near and adjacent to Lakes by the Bay and adjacent to Matter Academy, in which you have, over 500 acres of wetlands there that need to get hydrated. So part of this project is in years in the making, over at least 15 years in the making, and it's over $31 million project being completed by South Florida Water Management in conjunction with the Army Corps of Engineers, again, for the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Project, another acronym, CERP, C-E-R-P. And we're very proud of that, because we're doing our part to restore the water conditions, the water quality in Biscayne Bay. Not only that, I know we received a lot of calls from folks that are driving down 87th Avenue to see a lot of land clearing. Folks, the land that's being cleared there are all 100% invasive, and it's all part of the project. I know that our friends from Matter Academy have been receiving a lot of calls, and we've been fielding those calls, and that's why we said, let's go ahead and have South Florida Water Management project managers come in and provide a community update, and we will then repost that as well. Part of the recreation elements that are being done in that $31 million project is there's going to be a bird watching observation deck. There's going to be a nice trailhead there. There's going to be a restroom facility. There's going to be a parking, small parking area there with impervious bricks. There's going to be a nice little pavilion there that's going to have that iconic look, kind of like our bus shelters that we have around town with the coral rocks there. So we were able to negotiate with South Florida Water Management and the Army Corps of Engineers to put in those type of elements. So that kind of goes hand in hand in what we're doing with the 53 acres of the wetland restorations. As I mentioned, as I in several public meetings, is that we're fixing the stage, and the district and the Army Corps is building the stage. So the stage is going to be the 53-acre wetlands there. So we're going to be very, very proud of that. So with that, I'd like to take a little break and see if there's any questions. If you'd like to speak, just click on the request button at the bottom left of your screen, and we'll accept you.
No questions.
No questions. Okay, great. So let's move on to some other topics here. So let's talk about right now, we're in budget season. September is the busiest month for all 462 plus cities in the state of Florida is when we hold our budget hearings. Our fiscal years are from September 30th through October the 1st of every year. So what's that mean for Cutler Bay? Well, in Cutler Bay, we do it a little bit differently. We actually hold 3 workshops, and then we then hold the 2 required state hearings. So our workshops occurred on July the 31st, which we have called that a visioning workshop, where we talk about the town council talks to the town manager. We kind of like share all different ideas for next year's visions, making sure what our priorities are, making sure we finish the capital improvement projects, and we just kind of like talk about what we're going to start budgeting for. The second budget workshop was held on August 19th, and when we talk about the general fund. What's the general fund? The general fund is a fund that we receive ad valorem taxes, as well as a lot of the utility taxes, sales taxes that we have throughout the year. And I'm very proud to say that we are not 100% dependent on ad valorem taxes, which is we call it the millage rate, as we call it. We only have approximately just about 30% of our general fund revenue is dependent on the millage rate, and the rest are from various revenue sharing sources. And then also, we finalized our third budget workshop was on August 29th, when we talk about all the funds. What are all the funds? We talk about all different ARPA funds that we have, the PTP funds that we have, a lot of different grant funds, stormwater utility funds that are not millage related. Now, our budget hearings, we just held our first one on September the 10th. And commercial plug, we will be hosting our second budget hearing, state required, tomorrow, September the 24th at 6 p.m. in our town council chambers. You would have seen a article in the Miami Herald there advertising the workshop, the hearing, and you're more than welcome to. Now, more importantly, throughout this process, the town, I am committed for full transparency. So if you go onto our website and you click on our calendar and you click on any one of these workshops, again, July 31st, August 19th, August 29th, those are the workshops. And also, we also have our public budget hearing on September 10th. Every time you click on those meetings, you will see the full budget. You will see exactly what we have, what the council received, what the department heads received as well. And then we also then repost that on Facebook Live, the following day. So again, if you can't attend, you can certainly, join in through Zoom and Facebook Live. And also, if you can't attend, you can certainly just go ahead tonight, click on the budget meeting there. And if you have any questions, please feel free to provide me that information. So how do we get the word out for the budget workshops? Well, we blasted out we have over 4,800 subscribers in our e-newsletters, in which we push out. We also have a great partnership with the community newspapers there. And we have, on a monthly basis, we actually purchase the center pages. I call it the center glossy pages, and in which folks, if they like having the old school print newspaper, which is fine, I love it. I love when you go to the doctor's office or a dentist's office, you see it there in the lobby. We love it, and you can look and see what a lot of our upcoming meetings are and what are things that are happening in the town. We also posted our town's website as well. And then we also have 2 electronic message boards, one on Caribbean Boulevard on 107th and on Warren Road on Cutler Road, in which we kind of advise the residents of what those meetings are. So, what are the millage rates and ceiling rate that you hear me talk about all the time? So, the millage rate is actually a dollar figure that is based on $1,000 of your assessed property value. For example, if you have a house that's worth $100,000, and if we have a millage rate of our current one is 2.8332, a quick example of that was you divide the 100,000 by 1,000, which is the assessed property value, and you come up with, tell people all the time, 100 units. So that 100 units times 2.8332, which is our current millage rate of $2.83 per thousand, and then you come up with that figure, and that'll figure, just kind of doing the math there. So what do we do every year? The town council, we set the ceiling millage rate. So this year the ceiling millage rate was 3.006. So that's $3 and 4 decimal points over per thousand of your assessed property. Again, folks, that's the millage ceiling rate. And then we also, more importantly, we set the budget hearing dates of September the 10th and September the 24th at 6 p.m. So what occurs then is we start workshops and hearings based on that ceiling rate. And one of the things that we've done is make sure that we have continued to be one of the lowest millage rates in the town, in the county. Right now, we are the 8th lowest millage rate in Miami-Dade County at a rate of 2.8332. And some of the folks are friends that are ahead of us. And when I give you that journey, you can look through some of the property values there. Doral, Aventura, Bal Harbor, Sunny Isles, Miami Lakes, Palmetto Bay, Pinecrest. So as you go through your virtual journey of some of those zip codes, you'll see, what are some of those property values there. So as I mentioned, we set the current the ceiling rate early on. And then what we did was we then had a council hearing, and we actually then reduced the ceiling going down from the 3.006, which was proposed ceiling rate, to the 2.8332, which is our current existing millage rate. So one of the things that we're very proud of is that now we started developing that budget, towards that millage rate. So one of the things that we also are very proud of is our fund balance. What's that? Our fund balance is what we call our fund balance reserve. You hear people say rainy day fund, et cetera, where our fund balance reserve, just because of our best practices and keeping the ceiling millage rate consistent, the increase in property values. Right now, our fund balance is over $26 million. That puts us in a great position, if you've been following us, that we have a healthy fund balance reserve. We talked about a couple minutes ago about the general obligation bond that we have, and just like you would, and you have a credit rating, we have what's called also a bond rating. So our current bond rating is an AA2, which is really good. We were striving to get a AAA rating. What's that mean in government? It means that the higher the rating, the more A's that you get, you will actually have a better interest rate, and it'll save throughout the life of the loan millions of dollars. So that's something we're very proud of. And going back to the millage rate, the proposed budget that we have, and it's going to be discussed about tomorrow, now that the town council lowered the ceiling from the proposed 3.006 to the 2.8332, is that we are now consistent with last year. And in fact, we've held that same millage rate for the last 3 years. The proposed budget has we do have a surplus there, because we know that we are going to be getting a lot of the permit fees from the mall. but we understand that that's going to be, it's not going to be a consistent thing. It's going to be one time until they go to the next phase, So we're not building our budget depending on those permit fees. So there is a surplus in our budget because a lot of it is attributed to the permit fees that are being received from the mall. Again, that's just only in their phase one. There's going to be several millions of dollars that are going to be received, but again, we're not dependent on that. I don't want to make sure that we don't go down that slope as well. So some of the things that you've probably seen already and received at home was called the Truth in Millage Trim Notice. That is a notice that's sent out from Miami-Dade County Property Appraiser's Office, in which provides all the homeowners the date and time of the first budget hearing. Also, and on that advertisement there, or that letter, they would use the 3.006. So again, as I mentioned, we lowered that from 3.06 to 2.8332 during our first budget hearing. The folks that were able to attend online and also in person there would have seen that. So rest assured, we're keeping the same millage rate as we are moving towards that. Another new item that's going to be part of the your truth and millage is the stormwater fee. So we received a lot of calls regarding stormwater fee. That stormwater fee is something that is $90 per year, approximately $7.50 per month. That is not a new fee. In fact, that fee used to be billed on Miami-Dade County water and sewer bill, and then we removed it. Why did we remove it? We're looking at every way, folks, to try to save us money and to be more efficient government for you. At the same time, making sure that we have a commitment that we don't want to increase your millage rate, right? So the stormwater utility fee is one of those special revenue funds. It's an enterprise fund. So the fact that now you'll see it on your tax bill is a couple of things. One, the town will save over $117,000 a year from having one agency, WASA, billing it to having the property appraiser bill it. Number one. Number two, something that kind of like a little hidden feature is that before, when you paid it on your water bill, it came out on a monthly basis, right? But now the fact that it's on your tax bill, you could take advantage and get the 4% tax discount if you pay it before November. Well, we actually had to budget for that because we know that we're going to probably end up collecting a little bit less, but we certainly want residents to take advantage of that. So that's something that's new on the stormwater fee and on your tax bill, but it's going to be always on a tax bill, similar to what you see Miami-Dade County Solid Waste Department there. Or if you live in a special taxing district or CDD, you'll see those type of fees. But for us, that $90 will come directly to the town. There is some savings there from going from one billing mechanism to another billing mechanism. We did do a nice public information video regarding that. We mailed out over 14,000 notices, and thank the Vice Mayor Callahan that helped with the video there, and we got a lot of different feedback. We had over 5,000 views for that video. Again, moving right along, we want to make sure that something we want to emphasize is that please continue to be involved in the budget workshops and the budget hearings. So you have an opportunity tomorrow to be involved. And again, if at anything, just click onto our webpage there and look at the budget workbook that we have. And when I call that a workbook, it's a great document there. Folks, the detailed budget worksheets that you see by department there are literally the worksheets that each of my department has submit, to me, and that's the exact same thing that the council sees. So in full transparency, you'll see, down to, office supplies, what we budget in each department. So once again, I want to take a small little break here to give folks, listeners, an opportunity. If you'd like to speak, just click on the request button at the bottom left of your screen, and we'll accept you. Okay, I'm getting the signal from my communication manager. There is none. So once again, thank you for this opportunity as your town manager. I mean, it's my commitment as well as the town council's commitment to provide you different avenues of where to have accessibility to us. Again, council meetings, you can just, come by town hall. You could just email us. You could see us at special events. You can call us. Just today, I was returned 4 different calls from residents, and they were very appreciative. They said, "Wait, you're the town manager? Did you call for me, right?" "Yes, and that's why I'm calling back." So our council, our Mayor Mirabod, Vice Mayor Callahan, Councilwoman Lord, Councilman Duncan, Councilman Ramirez are very, very accessible. Special events, you know what? I mean, these folks live here. They pay taxes here. They go to Publix here. You see them at the restaurants here. So I get calls all the time and different, emails and text messages from council members that, hey, I was in line at Publix. Somebody had a question about this. That's what we try to do. We try to do small town USA, very accessible. We're always trying to, you know, push the envelope when it comes to public engagement, public involvement. Again, tonight is just another example of our first ever X Space experiment that we have here. And for folks that don't have X and they're going to be listeners the next day, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. Again, Ralph Casals, your town manager. And in fact, my phone number is 786-573-5518. You'll have a nice young lady answering the other line is Julia Hoare, my executive assistant, literally from her ears to me, and we'll just try to solve as many problems as you can. So once again, on behalf of the Mayor Town Council, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. Have a great night.